order. It's 5:03, and roll call. We have everybody here today. Thank you guys for coming, and this is our rescheduled meeting, and we are still going to meet again at the end of the month for our February meeting. This is technically our January meeting. So first of all, acceptance of the minutes from November 24th, because we did not have a December meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at that? Okay. Is everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we've accepted the minutes then. So our first topic for today is the EV charging stations. And we got a bunch of information in our packets. And thank you for printing it out in full color for us. So, Greg, did you want to give us background on this, or how did you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
So we had talked about, I don't remember if it was November, it might have been October, we had talked about
Yeah.
electric vehicles, charging stations, and whether or not we should be looking at the grant opportunity, potentially applying for new or additional EV stations. So to that end, I did an analysis of our existing stations. I mean, it's mainly the Dietz Lot station that's been installed for more than a month. Obviously, that's been around for years. The Market Street ones came online in December, so there's not a whole lot of data on those. But I mean, take some time, not right now, but it's interesting, I think, to read through and just to see the different. I mean, it's nice when you have good data. We have ChargePoint, all the data we could possibly want to analyze. Let me see what's maybe interesting to point out. I mean, obviously, just looking at, if you look at the first graph on the second page, graphs are easy to look at. You can look at number of sessions per month for different years. 2019, we had installed the Dietz Lot station. In 2018, the end of the year in 2018, so 2019 is really the first year we had it. You can see it start increasing, and then it decreased in December, and then 2020, you can see it go down, and then it's kind of come back up. It's not quite where it was in end of 2019, but it has come up a bit. I looked at a 30-day period because that would include with the new Market Street stations online. December 26th through January 24th happens to be the 30 days I looked at when I did this. You can see the number of sessions in total, and it's interesting, the average session duration back in 2019 and 2020 was about 2 hours. Now it's more like 3. In 24, 25, that 30-day period, again, it's just a 30-day period, was like 4.5. So there's not a whole lot you can glean just from 30 days of use at the Market Street station. So obviously a recommendation that I make at the end is just continue to observe and see how that changes over time. Revenue was initially 0 because initially when we first installed the one in Dietz Lot, it was free until we implemented fees. Utilization analysis might be something you look at. Are we at capacity? Is there a need for more? Obviously, there's not right now. We just installed 12 new ports. Prior to that, utilization, I was looking at an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. time frame. It was like 12% on weekdays, 10%, 10.5% on weekends. That plummeted when you add 12 more stations when you had 2. Now your utilization is going to be very low. So certainly we can't say that there's a high demand and there's like wait times or people queuing. It's nothing like that. We charge 18 cents per kilowatt hour the vehicle draws, plus 75 cents per hour that they're plugged in. The intent of that is we don't want someone parking there, drawing power, and then sitting there taking the space up when they're not drawing power. So they'll continue to be charged just for parking there. So that would encourage someone to move their car and not park it there and leave it there for 10 hours if they only need it for 2 hours. Interesting to look at. I'm on page 4 now. It's a graph with blue bars, the driver analysis. So if you look just in 2025, how many unique drivers, so when you log in and you use the charging equipment, you have a unique ID associated with you, so you can tell if it's a different driver. And then you can look at how that's changed over time, and there's not really a clear rhyme or reason to it from month to month. You can see October and April look to be somewhat outliers or sticking up a bit more, December even. I made a table just showing the zip codes of where these drivers are from, and it's interesting to see that Oneonta 13820, 33%, a third of the energy that was used in 25 came from drivers from that area. You can see how there's, we don't have a ton of usage, so when you look, you have Manhattan, Upper West Side, well, there was 4 kilowatt hours utilized, and that's not like a high amount, so it doesn't take much to make the top 10 list in this.
Well, I even noticed that what I noticed, like looking at this chart, and I think it was the next one, right, is that, it's, with the amount of data that we have right now, it's clear that like even one user, like,
Right.
stands out.
Yeah, I mean, we
in
have
the amount of, data that we've collected so far.
Yeah,
So-
that's that next table that lists, I mean, I don't know who they are, but we have a US user ID,
Yeah.
and somebody had 89 sessions, someone had 52, and then you aggregate that out of 119 unique drivers, 12 of them, or 10% of the drivers, resulted in 65% of the sessions, 68% of the energy.
Yeah, so it's a real concentration. I mean, there's a bunch of other people who are using it
Yeah.
for very small amounts, and then there's a small number of people who are the majority users,
Yeah.
so.
And I just mentioned the one user I do know is the city's EV vehicle. I
Yes.
looked up which one that was. That's
That one
in
you
that table.
put on there. I think it was the last one on that table.
Yes. Obviously, I would expect it to move up because we'll have it the whole year this time. So doing a little financial analysis, just looking back in 2018, we paid just under $6,700 per port for a 2-port charging station at the Deed Slot. In 2025, we installed 12 ports for roughly $10,000 a piece. The difference there in 2018, obviously there's inflation plays a factor in that, and then also in 2018, DPW did a little bit of the work with the contractor. In the case of the Market Street project, that was all a contractor, so that would increase the cost a little bit as well. So they're pretty comparable, I think, when you look at inflation and the fact that it was 100% contractor. Both of those projects were 100% grant funded through DEC Zero Emission Vehicles grant. That's the one that we were looking and trying to decide, do we want to apply again? We have the cloud plan, and what they call Assure Services, so it covers all the networking management, any preventative maintenance related to those charging stations. We'll enter a 2-year agreement. That's what DEC will reimburse us for the Market Street new stations. That ends up working out to about $530 per port per year. Beyond the 2-year mark, we would have to pay for that. We've been paying for the cloud plan, which you have to have that to be able to connect everything. For the Deep Street station, we haven't paid for the Assure on that since the very beginning of that. It seems to have worked out okay. We've had a few maintenance costs. It was really, what was it?
Okay. Is that
$1,400
preventative
or
or?
$1,695.
What was it called?
Yeah, they will.
Some kind of, maintenance.
Yeah, they will do
Yeah.
certain preventative maintenance, like inspections every now and then, and minor repairs. But if there's like a vandalism incident or
Okay.
accidental damage, something that's not covered under warranty, that wouldn't be considered preventative maintenance. That would need additional costs.
Okay.
When we look at the
Yeah,
Deed
that
Slot
makes sense.
one, that's the $1,690, basically $1,700. There were like 2 different expenses. We had to replace a panel or something got hit. So it hasn't been a very high maintenance cost or time-intensive undertaking having the one in the Deed Slot. I looked at 2025, we paid on average 23.5 cents per kilowatt hour of electricity used. So that's what we paid to NYSEG and Constellation for the delivery and supply. And then because that meter feeds the lights in the lot too, I just multiplied that average rate by the total energy that ChargePoint says that we use there to figure out the total amount it cost us to give that energy to the vehicles, just under $2,000 or $1,000 a port. I made a note here that this meter does not include demand charge, whereas the meter that's at the Market Street station will. That's all fed from one meter for the building and for those, so that's going to be a significant increase in, if you understand what a demand charge is on a commercial meter, there's basically every month, depending on how much you draw at any given time, it's going to charge you an additional amount, which is sort of going going toward the infrastructure that's required to be able to provide and satisfy that demand, where you wouldn't have that on your residential house, and we don't have it on a Dietz Street lot. So it makes a little bit of a difference, but bottom line is the Dietz lot revenue was $2,575 versus $2,677 in operating costs in 2025. So it's just about break even, a little bit of a cost, $51 a quart. So I would expect that would be more when you get a year's worth of data from Market Street, also with electricity costs going up. That'll make a difference. And it will have, remains to be seen how our usage goes up with having more available in two different locations.
Okay.
So a couple key takeaways I had were the charging fees offset 96% of the operating costs of the Dietz lot. However, you might expect that percentage to be lower at the Market Street lot. We'll see. And just to note that I think the intent for the city providing these was to provide them as a public service and, you know, help encourage EV adoption, not necessarily looking to make it a revenue source for the city, net revenue. Price comparisons, I think I shared this last time. I didn't update it. I went through just the ChargePoint app and looked at several places, comparable cities in upstate New York or geographically close to us, to see what they were charging. Obviously, you can see some charge per kilowatt hour only. Some also, like us, have the per hour charge on top of it. Some only, you know, Simeoniana charges 25 cents an hour and doesn't charge per kilowatt hour. You can probably draw some inferences as to how some of these places, which are private or college campuses, you know, what is their goal? Are they looking to break even, or are they looking to provide something for their employees at no cost or free? In the case of a couple cities at their city hall, it's free. But by and large, I think we're reasonably priced. I don't think there's a justification to increase our price at this point, or change it really. So then, considering new EV stations, and this is, you know, obviously driven by my opinion and based on the data that we've seen and what we're trying to do with downtown parking, public parking, the Wall Street lot and the Westcott lot don't have EVs now. That would be the two places we would most likely look to install new EVs. However, we have 2-hour parking limit there, and that is where we want to have high turnover for people coming downtown to do business, to go shopping, to go to eat, and that sort of thing. And given our average duration is over 2 hours, it's 3 to 4, depending on what time period you look at, I'm not sure that that would be the best place to put these level 2 chargers. Again, they're level 2. It takes hours to get a good amount of charge. It's not a like the fast charging stations where you can charge in half an hour or less, 10 minutes. And then at City Hall, Chris has talked about wanting to install some sort of a charging station here. I think that would be a non-public charging station, because again, people are coming to City Hall if they're doing business. They're not here for very long. Occasionally we're here for 4 hours at night, but usually it's not that long. And for our city vehicles, that would be a non-public sort of connection that we wouldn't be able to get a grant for, because it has to be public to be able to get a grant.
The other thing is we're designating these parking spots out here as where the EV charger will be parked. So they'll always be parked there, and city vehicle parking only on the backside of the building.
I don't think city parking for our vehicles should be at City Hall. I've said that from the get-go, because we're here to do business. And while I understand that you guys have to pick your vehicles up, I think, you know, on meeting nights and stuff like that, I don't think, that's one thing that I hear all the time is we don't have good access to the building. That's why we asked for the city vehicles to be moved on council nights, and so.
We have been moving our vehicles,
Yes.
for the most part, not parking them here, but we were trying to have the code vehicles that are used most often during the day have those spaces down to that basement door, which isn't a publicly accessible door. That's why we're trying to focus them parking down there as opposed to taking spots out here.
I just don't agree with city parking, this parking not being used for our vehicles. So, I'm just one opinion though.
Okay.
I'm all for taking a designated spot in Westcott lot or something like that. And making that.
For an EV spot, for the
It's
city
designated
on
just
that
for the city
spot?
vehicles.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend Westcott lot or the Wall Street lot. Those are the only two public lots that are occasionally almost at capacity as far as full of cars, I would say. The Deep Street lot, which is where we park it now, or we're actually moving one of the vehicles at least down to the 47 Market Street
304
lot makes more sense.
304, the code vehicle with the lift gate is being parked permanently down the transit hub now. That will remain there. Codes had asked to allow their vehicles to remain on the South Main Street side of City Hall. Again, the thought was ADA accessibility is not being impacted up here. So no city vehicle will be parked up here.
You know, we should take those 2 parking spots away down there anyway, even for city vehicles, because that's where you're gonna hit somebody.
We're talking about the ones that are next to the building,
Mhm.
kind of tucked
Oh,
away.
the like.
Because you're right
two
on the
there. Yeah,
sidewalk,
they're-
you're right up against the
kind of-
building,
Yeah.
that is not a safe spot to be renting.
So
Grass.
you want to eliminate parking spaces? Is that, I mean, just, we're having a conversation, but is that something
Yeah,
you're
I hadn't
proposing?
Thought about that.
What's that?
Are you proposing that we eliminate those parking spaces?
I just think they're dangerous to
Or
have 2
move
parking
them.
spots right there,
Mhm.
honestly.
Okay.
Especially if that's an exit door where you're coming out, you know, somebody's down in the basement working, there's a fire, you're coming up out.
Have those spots always been there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
okay.
I don't know of any accidents from those spots. Do you, Greg?
Oh, there's a lot of near misses if you sit there and watch.
Well, your misses aren't actual motor vehicle accidents.
All it takes though is one pedestrian to get hit, that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, very, very low speed. I think it's generally a low risk, but we can talk about that. I mean, if that's what you'd like to do. Eliminate 2 parking spaces and no city employee, city vehicle use of the city lot. Leave it open just for the public, or, you know, anyone visiting City Hall. Is that the thinking?
I didn't catch all of that.
So eliminate those 2 parking spaces, potentially. And then the other suggestion was no city vehicle or employee use of the parking lot, but instead leaving them all open for visitors. So if I'm just talking it through, but if, I mean, we have people coming and going, city employees during the day, work-related, in city vehicles that come and stop it.
Yeah.
You know, let's say the fire chief comes to meet with me or something.
That's different, I mean, you're
Coming
coming
and
in,
going.
you're running
It's
in,
different.
just like if, like
Mhm.
supervisor comes in to talk to Chris and you pull in and you run in, that's different than the vehicle parked there.
Yeah, are you talking like the overnight parking? Is that
Not
what
just the
you're thinking
overnight, but
more?
like when you walk in and that pickup truck is loaded full of
Yeah.
stuff and hasn't moved in 2 days, you know, that's not an optic I like seeing at City Hall when you're
Yeah.
trying to get your public in here to do
Yeah.
stuff that, you know.
I haven't seen that lately though.
Yeah.
You know, then you come in during the winter and there's cars parked and there's like 3 inches, 4 inches of snow on them,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
I think City Hall parking should be for City Hall. I mean, I know we probably have people that have medical's different, medical is medical.
Well, I tell you, I see people park out here in City Hall all day long that are patronizing businesses
I
on Main
know.
Street.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
know,
think
and
it
I
is.
think that's where we need to get our park
I think-
enforcement guy out here, and they need to really
Well,
hammer the side, the
I wonder if you
parking.
could, are there signs? I don't think there are signs in the.
There are.
There are,
It
says City Hall
That's for
parking
pretty
only.
Say,
City Hall
only for
business,
city,
I
for
think.
City Hall.
City Hall
Um,
business. It's hard to enforce that. I mean, because
Yeah.
a time limit is easy to enforce in a
Yeah.
sense. You mark the car or observe it.
Yes,
If you had paid parking, you can enforce that. Did they pay or not?
right.
But following them as to where they went and what business
Yeah.
they conducted. Did they stop in City Hall first and then go get a slice, or are they just getting a slice? You know, that it'd be difficult to enforce that. I think. I mean,
Having-
you know, sit there and
I
watch.
don't think
people.
we're gonna solve it tonight, I'm just saying, these are just my
Right.
opinions,
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think vehicles parked in City Hall should be, city vehicles should be parked at City Hall,
Yeah.
It should be for members of the public
Mhm.
yes.
to come in and out quickly, do their business, whatever it is.
It sounds like it's that overnight piece, right? Because we need it open in the
I mean,
evening.
you wanna open up a can of worms, what about city staff parking in city parking lots?
In city parking lots, or City Hall
City
parking,
Hall parking lot.
kinda like what I just said, if there's the medical's medical. you know, you break your hip, I don't want you to have to walk a mile and a half. If it's a medical thing, I'm okay with that. But business is business. I mean, you already park down at Deep Street. I see you walk there all the time. So,
Sometimes Market Street.
we make the county people walk back to D Street. We didn't give them special stuff, so we did that because you guys have to walk.
Yeah, the city doesn't have a policy to provide parking for employees. I mean, it's called City Hall only parking. Generally our policy has been City Hall employees should not be parking in City Hall lot, and you know, getting to, how someone gets to work, I walk to work most days, or I park in the T slot if I got somewhere to go, but, how someone gets to their job is up to them, transportation to and from work. So I don't think we have any obligation to provide employee parking. Have you anyone heard of issues where I tried to come to City Hall, I couldn't find a place to park, so I left, or I couldn't do business at City Hall? Has that been any complaint? I don't know, Carrie in the clerk's office, you heard anything like that, or?
Most of the complaints we get more at night anyway. They're in the meetings.
It's during the meetings.
During the
I've
meetings.
certainly
Yep.
personally have had difficulty
Yep.
finding a place to park here during a meeting, but that's,
Mhm.
you know,
I've parked in
it
other
is what
lots
it
myself.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
People are, you know, it's members of the public who are here for the council meeting.
Right, and there's gonna come a certain point, if we have enough people in attendance, there's not going to be enough parking, for everybody in City Hall.
I mean, I've come in and out throughout the days between Hardwick and personal stuff and city stuff, and I've never had an issue really parking during the day.
No.
Other than when I think you guys have negotiations and everybody parks in here. That makes it rough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I
So,
agree, during the
but-
day it's been, okay. It sounds like it's really the evening times, when
Mhm.
folks are coming in for meetings, that we need to make sure, that as much of it is open as possible. And, I don't know, I'm reluctant to get rid of 2 parking spots when, we know that we have such a need, here for that parking. I wonder if it
Honestly-
would be a good idea to designate them for something, especially though, instead.
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't even aware of those 2 parking spots for the first year that I was
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
here.
They're
They're
kind of,
really
they're
kind
hidden.
of tucked away and hidden from view. So I'm not sure, in terms of a safety risk, I guess we could kind of explore that. But how well used are they even
Oh, I see people parking there.
all the time?
I would say
Yeah.
that there's cars parked there
All the time?
most
Yep.
of the time.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I just,
my office can confirm.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, there's usually one, if I pay attention, there's one there, if not 2.
And they're not usually city related.
And they're not city related.
Apologies for interrupting.
And we can also
Good
install-
context.
I'm not chair anymore. I don't have to answer.
Yeah.
You can install a mirror for pedestrians that walk through there so they can see if a car's moving on the corner.
I don't really have a strong opinion of that. I'm just one person. Like I'm more so worried about the one right against the building.
Mm.
Cause that one, you got that box where everything hangs off the building and it's tight and you can't really see when you're backing up and,
Mm.
but I really don't, I just say I don't particularly think that those are good spots. But same token, but then when you sit there and you watch a contractor that's working on a building behind us, sit there with two trucks and they park the wrong way, they come in the wrong way,
Right.
Yeah.
that's stuff that we can enforce,
Yeah.
and we should be enforcing. That's inappropriate. You don't, I understand you gotta work on your building, but,
Are there signs at those 2 locations, those 2 spots that say City Hall only?
I believe so.
Not yet. I just sent an email before the meeting to have the signs made,
Okay,
Great.
okay.
so.
I mean, maybe that will have a little effect, but at least it's something
Mhm.
on the City Hall
I'll
side.
concede, let's not get rid of any parking spots.
Sorry?
I said I'll concede, let's not get rid of any parking spots, but I just don't like to see city vehicles parked here unless they're inside official. They're doing business. I think overnight's our big one, but,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I understand, you come in, you're running in, you gotta do something, then you walk out. I mean, there's days I gotta, up at work, I gotta walk one end of the campus to the other because it's just the way it is,
Right.
so.
And then going back to what we were talking about with the EV and enforcement, one of the things that I saw that you had noted that we're not seeing, in addition to this data from Market Street, of course, because we just don't have it yet, is the data on the EV parking space occupancy by non-EVs, I noticed. Is that something that has become a concern? Like, have we noticed that happening, or?
I haven't. I mean, if you look in the ChargePoint, their app, like people can leave comments in the stations. There's 2 comments on the Dietz lot. One of them from 4 years ago said that it sometimes is
Okay.
occupied by those. So I haven't noticed it. I haven't heard any complaints. Again, our utilization is low, but it's just no way for us to track that other than physical observation
Yeah.
right at this point.
Okay. I noticed that as I was reading through this, so I just wanted to make sure to ask about that.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yep.
So this is a question for Greg, and I think also for Chris, that it's a state question. It's not about the city. Do you know, has New York City or New York State signaled at all if it's willing to continue to invest in EV technology or EV, grant funding?
There's a grant available now. That same DEC Zero Emission Vehicles grant is available.
Okay.
That closes later in February, but as I recommend here, I don't think it makes sense for us to apply for that.
It
right
does
now.
not?
I don't think so, just given
The increase that we
we just
have.
installed some more, we seem to have more than enough now, and specifically the places we can install them would be Westcott Lot or Wall Street Lot or City Hall Lot. We've talked about City Hall Lot, not really a place for it. Westcott and Wall Street, I think it's just you're looking for shorter time frames, and based on the data, they tend to be charging for longer than that, so. Would they be utilized? Maybe. I don't think they would be, but would someone utilize that but not utilize Dietz Street or Market Street? I don't know. It's hard to say what the impact would be. But when you talk about applying for a grant, let's say we go for 1 station, 2 ports, it's a $20,000 project. It's just as much administrative effort, grant writing, and dealing with all of that as, a $200,000 or $2 million project. I don't know that for me, I see it as a priority based on the whole
Yeah.
picture. But.
So my second question was actually, I had a follow-up question just
Go ahead.
about state funding, and sort of like where New York State is headed, given the current kind of federal scene around climate policy. And so I'm just curious if there is, any public monies available for charging stations for fleet vehicles, like for DPW or for public safety vehicles?
That I've not seen anything on. Haven't looked specifically for that, but I have not seen anything. I do know that from conversations with Dave Hoteling about transit buses is that the trend there is going away from electric buses
Right.
and toward potentially hybrid buses,
Okay.
but not all electric. And I haven't heard anything about DPW vehicles or public safety vehicles.
I will tell you that our current EV vehicle, we've been having trouble keeping it charged with the cold weather.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
drains extremely quickly now. I have 2 staff that use it for water meter readings, and it drains very quickly. So it requires frequent charging in these temperatures.
So that was my follow-up about DPW and public safety vehicles.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you given any thought about doing a faster charger versus keep going with the ones that take a little over an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever? As I lose my voice, I'm sorry.
No, it's all
Which is
right.
probably a blessing for you, but.
It's still there. I don't know. We haven't really looked at that closely. They're 10 times the expense. I think literally, it'd be like $100,000 instead of a $10,000 project. And I'm not sure that that's what a downtown area wants. Like, you want to maybe capture somebody who's driving an EV who might want to charge their car while they're spending 2 hours here doing something, not like in and out 10-minute. I mean, I guess if you're getting coffee, that'd be nice. But aside from a quick picking up food and going home again, you're probably not going to spend the money on that. If you're a local, you're probably charging your car at home. I think most people probably do. So it's maybe more people that are visiting Oneonta for, I don't know, whatever business they're doing. So I don't know if downtown in this city-funded thing would be the way to go for that, because I think the expense would be a lot higher than the revenue we'd be able to get from it.
And then just the other one is, are we trying to push people to park in the Market Street parking lot versus D Street for the charging and then go up and visit Main Street, or are we trying to get them into the D Street lot to walk down to Main Street?
Either way, I mean, obviously there's an option in either one, and they can see on their phone in the app which one's available. If D Street, since it only has 2 ports, if it were to be occupied, then they would be able to see that there's more down in Market Street. Obviously, there are more there. And that was also with keeping in mind their downtown residents, and with 47 Market Street being more of a, they have some more long-term spaces. That's just Dietz Lot. That might be a place that if you own a car in the downtown, you'd be able to charge there and then move your car over and keep it parked overnight. But so we're not, other than their availability and the fact that there's 12 ports down here, 2 up there, we're not pushing or advertising in any way other than through the app.
Yeah, that's good to know. I didn't know that they could check that through the app, 'cause I don't use that.
Pushing is the wrong word, I meant advertising.
Yeah, yes. Is there anything else we have with the EV charging stations for now then, or should we move along?
I just would like to say for the record that this may be the last conversation. I mean, in the short term, it sounds like New York State is willing to continue to invest in EV charging stations for individual vehicles, private vehicles, but that there really isn't anything on the horizon for long-term transit options for cities, for local governments, so. Yeah, the future is unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for all this.
Yeah.
It's really great to
Sure.
know sort of how it all breaks down in terms of usage.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it was very interesting, thank you.
We can make it an annual sort of update the numbers and
Yeah.
see where Market Street is at a year
Yeah.
I
from now.
think that would be a
I don't
good
think
idea.
it's
Now that we
doing
have a
more than
baseline and, we've looked at it, then we can revisit it next year.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so our next topic was Mitchell Street and Huntington Avenue parking, and I believe you brought this to us, right, Scott?
Yes.
Yeah, there's been
Yeah.
emails going back and forth. I probably should have forwarded them all to you, and I forgot. So have a constituent down on Mitchell Street, right, Mitchell, no, Huntington.
Huntington, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Huntington and Mitchell.
And there's like, Greg and Chris and I have all been talking about this, there's some weird signage down there, no one's really know why some of it happened, and, there's no parking. There's parking on Huntington, and it's getting very tight, especially when you get snowbanks and stuff like that, but even during the day as they park there, it's getting harder for people to get in and out of their driveways, backing in. I think some of it has to do age-wise, is, it's a street that has, getting up there in age. And, I think when it first started, when I tried to find some history and I talked to it, Nader Towers got used a lot more with their conference rooms and stuff like that, with people booking stuff down there, and that's why they started pushing some parking down that way, because they didn't have all the capacity in the back to be able to handle stuff. So his concern about getting in and out of the driveway, he's having problems. Some other constituents are starting to have problems getting in and out. And then another concern he brought up was plowing and bus traffic and stuff. And so Dave and Chris and Greg, they all got together and they've been monitoring it. And this is probably a good winter to monitor it because of the snowfall that we've had. And we said we'd revisit it and see what they see and what recommendations they make, and if we can maybe go parking, take some parking away, move some parking, so it's about the history of it.
Yeah, I know I am often at Nader Tower, so I took the opportunity to kind of check out the signage, and I'm familiar with the parking pattern down there, because Mitchell Street has that, you can park there part of the year, but not during the winter, and then you can park on Huntington Street, and what I noticed was, especially that corner there, that the signage was a little confusing about where the parking ends and where it is and is not allowed, so, yeah, I'm glad that that's being looked
I
at.
forgot to also say,
Yeah.
is that gets used as the shortcut because it's a little bit, they go around there to get to the backside, was to go down to
Gotcha.
the schools, and because you know, Bell, you know, on the corner, not Bell and Michael's problem, just where Bell and Michael's is, I can never remember that street name for some reason.
Burnside or
One just past Burnside where you got
London.
Bell and Michael's is.
London?
London, yes.
Okay, yep,
Sorry. But that's such a narrow street,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Burnside isn't, you know, that kind of narrows down there at the top too.
Yep. it's a
Parking on
tight
both
area,
sides.
for sure.
Yeah.
So
So what are you looking at in terms of just clarity?
he was hoping to take away the parking on Huntington.
Like any regulation around it?
And that's where I kind of left it with them is what was the recommendation from here? Take
Yeah.
away parking on one side, not the other, or,
Oh, eliminating parking
Yeah.
entirely.
yeah, that's, you know, or, you know,
Our thought is, which is on the map here, Greg, the red lines indicate where we are suggesting no parking. In the green area is where we're recommending 24-hour max parking. 8 spaces on Mitchell Street and 12 spaces on Huntington Street.
I don't think
I don't have no lines on
I
mine.
don't have lines on mine.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, they're probably not flattens, and then when you print it, if it's
Yeah.
not, it's like. it's
So,
not
okay.
marked up.
Which side is it though that's supposed to be? Sorry.
Is this,
Thank
would
you,
this be
Chris.
online, if we look online?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have it.
It's
from-
okay.
That's why I said it should, I'm so sorry.
Okay, nope,
because,
I'll just pull it
I
up.
just looked at the map before the meeting and it was fine.
'Cause I have it open, I have it here.
Do you want me to print a couple more copies there? Or-
Do you have it, Scott?
It's okay.
Or do you need it?
Basically, on Mitchell Street, the no parking would be on the east side, the 8 parking spots would be on the west side.
Okay, yeah, I've got it here.
And then on Huntington Street, no parking would be on the south side, and 12 parking spaces would be on the north side.
Okay. So would Mitchell Street then allow parking year round? Is that
Yes.
the idea? Okay, so that is a change.
So the thought is that would, alleviate some of the parking pressure that's
Yeah.
on Huntington.
I think so,
now.
I mean, cause I think a lot of it is related to Nader Towers. I'm just curious, why did we have it, Mitchell Street half the year no parking before? Do we know why? I assumed it was for
I
snow
asked Greg.
removal, but I don't know.
I don't think any of us, we could figure it out.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure that there's nothing that we're,
I mean, the only
Not
thought that
taking
came to
into-
mind was OPT, cause they come down Mitchell,
Yeah.
loop around and come back out again. We asked Dave Hoteling twice.
Okay,
I
because-
confirmed that's not an issue the way it is now with cars parked there.
alright.
Um,
That was another thing I made sure to observe when I went down there, and I noticed it did seem, you know, like they had space to maneuver. Okay,
I know the constituent that reached out to Scott probably won't be happy with this, cause there still is parking opposite his driveway on Huntington Street, which is where it is now. Although now there's also, I can't remember if the signs are still out there or if it's just what the code says, but that's what you're referring to. Nader Towers used to have more people coming down. There was a parking allowed on the south side of Huntington in addition to the north side from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something like that, weekdays. That would go away. I'm not sure if that would make a difference to his
I
issue, but
think it's a start.
yeah,
You know, we gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
We always said, you start
We do.
somewhere and you fine tune.
I do wanna mention that out of the 14 houses that are on Huntington and Mitchell, there was only one complaint.
okay. I also, I think changing the regulation on Mitchell Street in addition to Huntington would make a difference there too. I mean,
I think-
especially if what I'm hearing is that it's more related to, like when we have snow around, that is when parking has been disallowed on Mitchell, probably pushing more cars onto Huntington. So if we can alleviate that by continuing to allow that parking all year long on Mitchell, I think that might help resolve some of the concern, even though parking is still allowed on Huntington.
I agree.
I think that was part of his point
Okay.
too, is in the winter, there are more cars on Huntington. So,
Yeah.
makes sense.
We probably can, if there are lines on the road, we can probably run into that issue.
Huh. Because the boxes didn't show up either.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's because the
But I
mark,
have
the
it.
markups weren't flattened. So when you go to print,
Maybe.
it doesn't always print the markup.
Yeah, either way.
That's my bad.
I have it here, so it makes sense now, and you got to see it?
Yeah, I looked,
Okay.
It figures
Chris is-
online,
That's so weird.
yeah,
That is
Okay.
weird.
I don't know.
sorry.
Whatever.
I think it's
We all got the
Bluebeam
same information, at least
versus
that's what's important.
All maybe.
Box it, yeah.
Foxy.
Okay.
So do you want this one would have a motion that would go to council to change the code? Do you want that going to the council consent agenda or discussion?
I think that this is, do we have any other questions or comments about this? Is it
No.
really- I think this can go to consent.
Yeah,
Okay.
cause it seems, yeah, like there's
Mhm.
agreement,
Okay.
yeah. Gotta try
good
some,
for you, yeah,
I don't know if it's good.
gotta try it,
We're
Mhm.
trying something.
right,
I mean, I think it shows good faith that we heard,
Yeah.
we're trying something, you know.
Okay. Just making my note here for the reporting back. Okay. The next one was about Valley View Street, and this was one that had come to me through several constituents, actually. And so Valley View, there's a map on the next page, and is there any markups on this one? I don't think there was, right? Okay, so on this map, it shows the whole, school there, it has, so the top road is Valley View, and then Hudson is at the bottom, okay? And really, the complaints that I was hearing on Valley View Street is some folks have been blocked into their driveways, during the bus transport. And just generally a request to look at that whole pattern, because, right now, the way that the school handles the, drop off and pick up, the buses block the road. And so constituents would just like to know if there's anything else that can be done. And I've spoken with Greg, we talked about how this would involve conversations with the school district as well. And the chief of police, I know, has had some ideas that would be more, design ideas, right? So do you want to share a little bit about that, Greg?
Yeah, I think that's what he was thinking is maybe been ruled out by the school district. So, he had suggested perhaps there could be a pull-off where the buses would pull, closer to the Valley View School building itself, between the sidewalk and the building. If you reconstructed that area to have a kind of a bus lane. But he spoke with the school superintendent, who said that was something they kind of looked at, and just not enough space. So I don't really
Yeah.
think
Okay.
there's much of an option up on Valley View Street.
Okay.
And my understanding is the buses pull across the street to keep cars, parents, whoever, public from
Mhm.
zooming past the buses while they're
Yeah.
loading and unloading. And also some kids are probably crossing the street there from a little walkway that comes down from Main Street.
Yeah, and that I can speak from experience too, because my kid was going to Valley View when they started parking the buses across the road, and, before they did that, cars would just drive by these buses, and the buses would be honking their horns, people would be yelling, and the drivers would just say, I don't care, I have places to go.
which is a serious offense.
It's a serious offense, and it's very dangerous for your children.
Yeah.
So, and I had a kid who was one of those walkers going down the main street. There's a path between Adeline's and the gas station there that goes down from Main Street to, and then the kids can cross Valley View Valley View Street to the school. And I know as a parent that was always a concern, if before the buses were parked across the street to, about safety crossing there. So it definitely improved the safety for children, having the buses park across the street, but it increased the concerns for the residents on the road who are not able to access the full street twice a day on school days.
I'm wondering, I'm just throwing this out there, what if we made a one-way loop? So they only have traffic going one way in front of the school, so you're eliminating the other traffic,
Mhm.
oncoming traffic. So like one way, I don't know what the street name is here, and then, I don't know, what do you think? One way one way for in front of the school, maybe one way, on the backside of the school.
On Hudson?
Are you
Yeah.
thinking like, yeah, down 8th and then?
Yep.
Yep,
So that would, at least eliminate multiple lanes of traffic. I'm just,
yeah,
Yeah,
are you
just
talking
throwing
about
it out.
one way on Hudson Street too, though? 'Cause
one way
that's-
here.
Yeah.
And one way here. One way this way, one way this way.
Hudson
Hmm.
Street, I mean, Valley View, I see that. Hudson Street, I think a lot of folks use that
Do.
to travel.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm
It's
not
a
as sure
thoroughfare,
about.
I
It
would
is,
say.
yeah. Cause I see a lot of traffic, from Fair Street down Hudson up to, Rose.
Yeah, Hudson gets a lot of use because they don't want to be on Main
It
Street,
does,
That's right.
so.
it does,
Yeah.
Even though it's one way, you can still allow parking on both sides of the road.
yeah.
Yeah, but I just think Hudson,
People use it as,
It does.
They use
it's
it
almost like a
both ways.
detour.
I
It
see.
does, yeah, I get
Yeah.
a ton of use that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for example, I mean, this was a couple years ago, but when there was construction,
Oh, right.
on Main
Mhm.
Street, that Hudson was
That was
a way
the-
around it.
can I ask, I guess I don't, because I never did this when I was up at my grandmother's house, pulling the buses across. Are we talking like 10 minutes? Are we talking half an hour? Are we talking 15 minutes?
That's a
Like
good
how long is it
question.
normally?
At least 10.
I try to avoid
Not
that
more
area
than a
those
half
times.
hour. I'd say it's at least 10, but not more than a half hour. Probably on the lower side there, but I think that would need to be timed. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a good question. I'm sure I could ask some residents and they would know. So,
Do you know how many buses by any chance?
that I don't know either. There's probably like a half dozen, so there is a bunch, so.
And
That's
is
a good question.
the concern that I saw that you had shared, Elaine,
Yeah,
was
thank
a
you.
parent or somebody dropping their
Yes.
child off had
Yeah.
parked in front of their driveway. So it wasn't the bus physically blocking
Correct.
the driveway entrance or exit?
Yeah, thanks for that
It was
clarification.
more the dropping off scenario as well. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that
'cause
would.
There
alleviate it.
are a couple of houses that I've heard that concern from that are directly across from the parking lot there, because that area does get because you get parents parking on both sides of the roads during pickup, and then it gets very congested, so I know
It'd be terrible.
those, like, what is it, like 1, 2, 3, 4 houses, I think it is, like across from the school and the parking lot there, I've heard that impacts them there. But it was on the other side of the school, closer to like, 6th Street, where, they were getting blocked in, by, parents, there for pickup. So, and it's very congested during the pickup time. It's a very busy area.
It's a blessing to have a neighborhood school.
It
It's
is.
a curse to have a neighborhood.
It's so, it was so here's my comment. It's so lovely to be able to let your kid walk to school in your neighborhood, but you can also see that this is a building and grounds that were not designed to handle this kind of vehicular capacity that we're seeing now. And so we have this issue of very limited space, and how do we manage the number of vehicles that are showing up for these pickup and drop-offs?
Well, I wonder too if there's been an uptick since COVID, that there's been a decline or decrease in school bus
Busing,
ridership
Yeah.
because of the pandemic, and that it never went back up, and so people are just now used to using
Well,
their cars for pickup.
and also when these schools were designed, they were truly neighborhood schools,
Right.
and now we bus kids
Yeah.
to schools
Right.
in the district.
Right.
This might take some thinking.
It does, and that's where I know we had talked about this might be, conversations with the school district. Folks have asked me if there's any option to use Hudson Street more somehow. That I think is more of a district question. I don't wanna tell them how to dismiss the children, and what the proper procedures are for that. but Hudson Street is very quiet, you know, so I don't know if there's any potential to utilize that area, you know, that street more.
Is this, as you go back towards the hospital this way,
Mhm.
again, I don't know what the
Yep.
orientation of the map is, but back towards the hospital, but on the school
Hospital
side
would
of the
be to the
road,
left from here.
but on the school side of the road,
Mhm.
is that all part, just general parking that anybody can park in, or can that be made more like an off?
That's what I was thinking.
Directly in front of the school, it's already marked differently.
I think you're
Right.
talking about the
I
sidewalk.
was talking like down this way,
down.
Oh,
that
sorry, that
road.
side.
like if you did,
Mhm.
like if that could be like offloading or loading or whatever, or is that, you know?
Or maybe to like look at changing the parking regulations for that
Yeah.
area? Yeah.
If that would help, I don't know. Could be a bad idea, I don't know, I don't.
And you, Greg, you said that the district has looked into the potential for,
I'm not sure what
There being
exactly
an
they've
off-ramp?
done,
Uh-huh.
but just from Chief Witzenberg, who had emailed or communicated with Superintendent Brindley, that's what his answer was. It wasn't enough room.
It's not a ton of space. The lawn there is.
it's not.
I mean, even when they had construction, it was, yeah, yep.
Yeah, cause when we planted the tree there, it was, you only, it took maybe a whole like 8 steps to get to the front.
I was gonna
door.
say, it is not far.
It's not big, it's not
It's
big.
not even a block, you know, it's very tight there.
And that's my favorite tree in the city, because that's the one I got to dedicate, so.
Nice,
It's the best one.
nice. All right,
It's my claim to fame.
So-
Hope it survives.
it doesn't sound like we're quite sure what to do now, but what are our next steps that we wanna take? I can certainly get some more information about, you know, the buses,
I was
Yeah,
wondering if we could
but-
just take a look at that and maybe
Yeah.
make that like a,
look
part
at
of
the
that is a
parking
loading,
regulations.
unloading only.
Yeah.
You come in,
Yeah,
cause like with Riverside, you drop your kids off, you're not allowed to walk with them,
Into the school.
cause they have like a loading thing.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to drop
and do
them
that
off,
instead of
they
having,
go, and you go,
Yeah,
yeah,
you go, that's a car, but,
yeah,
so,
I mean, that might work better,
you know,
cause what
maybe
is
that would
happening
work
now,
yeah,
for a
Is
few spots
people-
there, and you can keep them.
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you are gonna have a small bottleneck with the buses there, but if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I don't know how to alleviate that problem
Right.
Yeah.
with the real estate that we got, but maybe more so with all that volume of traffic for that short time, if we had a small loading unloading zone or whatever you call it,
Mhm.
drop off,
Yep.
maybe that would help. I-
It's something, sort of replicate a bit of what is at Greater Plains, which is that kind of pull-in
Yeah.
area. It is an actual, like, loading and unloading zone.
Yeah, because I think what happens here is that everybody parks because they have to physically be present to pick up the younger children, and that is the, you know, when it gets the most crowded on that street.
You know, another option, I'm looking at this, I'm
Mhm.
just looking at the site plan, because it's my engineering mind working.
Yeah, go for
You
it.
know, and I've never been in this building, so I don't know the entries and exits. But what if they did a bus loop here on the backside of the building for drop off?
That's what I was saying. Can we utilize Hudson Street? I mean, the back is really fields. The playground is bigger, I think. Now.
So there is a back door there, Chris.
There is.
But I think they got like the playground up over here.
Yeah.
That dirt spot. I don't know as though that's gonna be big enough to get your buses around,
The
but then it
loop.
bottlenecks back over here where you come out, because the parking lot goes from here
Mhm.
to here.
Like,
With the house
I'm just saying,
and,
things can be realigned, and you could make a loop there,
oh yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not,
maybe.
and then
Yeah.
it's completely off the street, the bus drop off anyway.
Yeah.
yeah,
Into the field itself, is that what you're?
Yeah,
Yeah.
loop it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
well, you do that though, but then I guess you're taking away recreation space from the students, and, you know,
Yeah.
That's
exercise is a big
drawback.
thing for.
It is. It
for
is,
young-
and that's yeah. It's a
Yeah.
trade-off for sure. It's a tight space.
It's a huge area though. That
Yeah.
is a large, I think.
Also, I don't know if there's ADA accessibility issues there either.
There is,
Yeah,
cause that's
there's a
actually goes up a hill.
It's a hill
It's
in
up
the
a
back.
hill.
So the whole thing, like it's a hill here. So this is the top of the hill, and then right at the back, that's where it goes down. Like this is all a hill, and then this is flat down here.
So to go in the door in the back there, it's like a back door.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Kids run out of there for recess, I think.
Mhm.
At least they did a long time ago, when I went there. So they would kinda have to redesign, I think, how they intake kids in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I think they probably have people at the doors that are
Right, cause even, actually, this
monitoring,
area
so
is flat.
it might be
This
an
is-
operational change.
Yeah, this area is not on a hill, right here,
The lower portion.
the lower portion,
Or.
Yeah.
where the
if not-
basketball court is.
If not buses, what about cars that wanna drop their kids off?
Or do it as a
in that
car,
way?
yeah, the pickup
Right.
drop off there.
That's similar
Yeah,
also to
that
what
might be
Greater
even
Plains has.
easier. So these are really ideas
I
that.
mean, I guess
we
that's
could
kind
have
of up
to
to the school district,
right?
that's not really
Yeah, I
up
was
to
gonna
us.
say, these are
Right.
ideas that we could bring, but they're not, for us to implement, right?
Correct, just ideas.
I don't know.
All right. Well, next steps then, are we gonna try to talk to the district, or what do we wanna do next here?
Is this, I don't know, maybe there's something that, I hate to say this because you guys are so busy, but
I
maybe
know.
there could be a meeting between our staff and the school district, and maybe they could put their heads together between, maybe pitch some of the ideas we come up with and see what they have, like pros and cons to it.
Yeah, I think it really is a school district
Mhm.
issue. You know, they've done improvements at Riverside and Greater Plains. They have more space there to do capital projects, but
Mhm.
I think just sharing with them there are ongoing concerns and complaints from residents, near altercations. I mean, what would they propose? You know, I think put it on them to see, you know, maybe they've already looked at this and have an idea and just haven't implemented anything different, but I don't know how much the city can do.
Yeah,
You know, it wouldn't be our physical construction or our operations that would change, it would be theirs,
Mhm.
either way, so. Just sharing the concern and asking for a response maybe as a start.
yeah, I think that's a good idea, because then, I mean, I know we're talking about, could there be potential of, you know, other drop off, there's no loop spot here though, so it definitely feels like it needs some kind of, component of coordination with the
So
school district.
the real complaints, not so much the buses, I mean, I understand it
Correct.
during that time, it's the drop
Yeah, the
off and
parking.
in the cars.
Illegal parking.
Maybe we could just ask the school district if they could push something out to those,
Yeah.
ones that go to Valley View. Please, you know, try not to block people's driveways, be cognizant, you know, don't leave your car unattended for a long time, you know,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that might be a good first step, but ask them if they can do that.
Yeah, if you want me to reach out, if you wanna give me a list of specific things you'd like
Sure.
to suggest, and then I can also just
Yep.
ask, what are their thoughts, and I can share that with you.
I do agree with Greg, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's more of a school, I don't know
So-
what more I don't know how much we can really do.
All right, well, let's start there, we can check back in and, see if there's anything further we wanna do next time. Sound good?
Okay?
And I'll send you a list, Greg.
Okay, thank you.
What do we have next? Pavement markings. This one did print out, I think, with all the colors.
What are we doing?
There were
here?
lines.
Is that this line, this map? Yep, okay.
So I think this goes back to, we were talking about where do we want the pavement markings to be, right? Because there's some areas that were under consideration.
So, there's two sheets to this, there's the map and then there's the cost estimate. We have to put out a new bid for the pavement markings for this year because our contract that we had ended at the end of last year. So at per mile cost was roughly $5,000 per mile. We're estimating it's gonna be about $5,350 per mile with the new bids. So we have an estimated, cost per, roadway based on their lengths. As you can see, if we do everything listed here, the cost would be roughly $30,000. We were currently only planning on doing, basically half of these. Chestnut Street Extension, Chestnut Street, East Main, Main Street and Market. So total cost for those would be roughly $16,600. We can certainly look into adding others.
The rest of River Street.
There's specific costs listed here for each one.
You're ignoring me, Chris.
I know which one you want, right?
The rest of River Street.
The problem is with River Street is we would have to specify parking on one side. Putting a yellow line down the middle of the roadway is not enough room to park on either side. So we have to shift to one side and say that there's only parking on one side and no parking on
Do we
the
have
other.
alternating parking on River
Right now
Street?
it's
or-
alternating parking.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that we would not be able to do alternating parking if that's,
Correct.
okay.
I think when you get up over that hill, you can eliminate the parking from up over the knoll all the way to the River Street service road. Because in the 20 years I've lived there, I think I've seen all about 3 vehicles parked there.
Where was
Which
that?
no, like from Parish Ave down?
No, I'm
Gilbert?
coming up the rest of it. Up
by the,
Up by my house, up on that knoll,
Oh, okay.
come up over the knoll.
Okay.
even from like Gilbert Street basically, as you
Yeah,
start to go up
yeah.
west.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we talked about it a million times, but having friction, which cars parked would add friction and slow vehicles. But if there were a pavement marking parking lane along that stretch, would you and your neighbors go park your cars in the street? You're probably still gonna go in your driveway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know that it's gonna encourage anyone else to park out there. When I drove down River Street a couple nights ago, 0 parked cars, the entire length of River Street. The only time there's anyone parked there,
Yeah, I
a few
haven't
cars,
seen any.
maybe in front of one of the restaurants.
Right.
That's it. So when we had that meeting at the Sixth Ward Athletic Club, I think a few years ago, generally the people in attendance were adamantly against having bike lanes on
Right,
River Street
yes.
because they wanted to
Remember
keep
that.
parking for those rare instances when there's parked cars. Maybe not rare, I don't know if it's every night, would you say, when the restaurant's open.
When the
there's a few
restaurants are
cars
open,
there, so.
Yeah.
There is specifically no parking allowed in front, other side of the street, in front of the Boys and Girls Club. Must be, they thought that loading and unloading there was a bad idea, at some point to
Yep,
make
they
that
go,
no
everything's
parking.
gotta go in the parking lot now.
So, like Chris said, I think if you're gonna have a double yellow line, like there's a double yellow line in a section of it now, that really, there's no room for the alternate side parking. I think that's why most people don't park there. You don't feel
Gotcha,
like you should.
gotcha.
But if you wanted to shift it over and paint a line, maybe it makes it clear that there's a parking lane. Maybe more people will park there. I don't know.
So you are able to
Yeah.
park on River Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep.
So it's fascinating 'cause it's just not done. I mean, like,
No,
it's like
I-
you don't think of
Is
it
it
at all.
just not maybe needed? I mean, I don't know, I do drive up and down River Street, but I don't generally, I
There's-
can't remember the last time I parked
So
on
you
River
could park
Street.
in front of, you could park in front of the restaurants that are on,
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
I mean, if you,
Depending on the day.
yeah,
sure.
right.
yeah.
And
Let's
also,
park across the street or in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Wow.
the side that you can park 6 days a week versus 1 switches as you go down the street,
Right.
looking at the signs.
Yeah.
Um,
but that's the
So if you were to
only-
pick one side, the entire length, and paint a white line, and then your double yellow in the middle, and then if you did that, I would suggest do some cost-effective curb extensions, like with plastic delineators or with planters or something that like narrows the road at the intersections, kind of artificially, not like constructing a new curb bump out. That would be a future 15, 20 years from now reconstruction project, but you could do something there that visually and physically, without creating a hazard for vehicles, narrows the road and tries to, you could put a planter box there or something that has in the summer and try to slow traffic down a little bit. Otherwise, the lines are, I think, gonna have a minimal effect on what actually happens.
They're gonna have a minimal effect when they're actually in their own lane going down.
I still haven't heard about an accident. Have you?
Uh-huh.
Have you heard about an accident or anything like that?
Have I heard about one? No, but have I almost seen them? Yes. Sit on my front porch sometime, we'll have coffee, we'll watch it in the morning. More the merrier. And I'll be honest with you, Some of them have our stickers on the side. They go right down the middle of the road. So,
Okay.
Well, like I've said before, if you guys see something that my vehicle is doing wrong, please get the number and I will address it. I just need to know the number.
well, and it's not, I don't think it's that they're doing it wrong, it's just, you don't have it there and they're busy doing stuff and they got, their minds are wandering on what they gotta go do, and I'll be honest with you, I'm guilty too, when I come up through, I'm thinking about something up at work, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, I'm in the middle of the road, I'm not where I belong, and, my lane assist ain't going off because there's no lane there for it to go off on, so. I'm not putting blame on anybody, Chris, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
So as I'm looking at this, with the budget, so there's a $15,000, roughly $15,000,
Difference there.
yeah, and so I'm just curious kind of what the suggestion is here in terms of only doing 16,000 is what
I mean,
has been planned,
Currently,
and that was
that's-
budgeted?
That's currently our plan, yes.
Okay.
But, the bid that we're gonna be doing is for 2026 through 2028, so I could include more, in the 2027, 2028 budget. We could alternate, the group that I've identified now, we could do this year, and then 2027, we could do the other group, and rotate between them.
But these are the ones that you felt like were the top priorities.
Yeah.
why Chestnut Street Extension?
It's something that was done as part of the current project, and so we just assumed to keep it.
Where it transitions from one way coming
Yeah.
down to two-way,
That's what I thought.
that's why there's at least needs to be a strip there that,
It
so if you're
shows
coming down a
folks.
one-way street and then
Yeah.
it turns to two-way, we wanna make sure that that's visually clear.
It's well identified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we put never mind.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong side of the entrance on Walter Street,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Oh.
Any other thoughts or questions about this? Are we looking to move this forward to?
I really just need to know, putting the bid package together, am I including these or not?
The ones that you've indicated for 16,000?
So
That's-
all of it,
yeah.
like, do we wanna do just those for the next 3 years, or do we wanna alternate between those and the other ones every other year? And that's something I'm throwing out there, I really haven't talked about that, but.
So I don't have to go in my budget, do you remember what we budgeted for this?
Yeah, that's a good.
Pavement markings is somewhere in the range of $50,000 a year. But that includes stop bars, crosswalks, parking spots, handicap parking, arrows, one-ways. There's a lot. And we don't do all in 1 year. That's 50,000. We try to do 1/3 of all the pavement markings a year, so that gets us roughly 1/3.
All right.
Does that make it harder doing it striping that way by trying to get bids with a company than if we try to do half the city 1 year, half the city the next?
Your cost would go up to $75,000 a year.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, would it be easier to get a company to bid on something like that versus trying to do it this way? Cause a couple of years ago, we had problems even getting a company to come in and do it.
So we only had one bidder in the 2023 bid. And we had a very bad experience with the bidder from the previous bid. And quite frankly, the problem is, we're a small city with big city problems.
Yeah.
And we're in an area, a desert, I would say,
Yeah.
with this kind of specialty type of work.
That's true, 'cause we're.
So they're coming from Albany or Binghamton.
Mhm. Okay.
And so, not a lot of interest in us.
Yeah.
because we
That's
don't
why I was
have-
wondering, would it make it more worth their while if we did more? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
I don't know, I mean, cause the work they do, that we do now, it's not like they're coming for half a day, I mean, they're here for, it would, if they were here in one stretch of time, it would be weeks
Yeah,
to do everything, right?
yeah.
Say, I mean, but typically they're kind of viewing it as filler work.
Yeah,
And,
they do, so the
Oh,
contractor that's
okay.
doing it now is doing it at nighttime. He's doing it from generally 10 PM to like 6, 7 AM in the
Wow,
morning.
okay.
So that they're avoiding traffic, it's
Yep.
easier traffic control. It's a small father-son outfit that does it. The one that we have now has been fantastic. You had them before I came here. You know, I think we get decent pricing from them. The only problem with them is they won't do epoxy. So right now, the paint that we use basically doesn't last much more than a year and a half.
Okay.
And that's because of the toxins or
It's because of
the price?
epoxy's more expensive,
Mhm.
it gums up the equipment, it's hard to keep the equipment clean. He refuses to do epoxy. So, and epoxy's like twice the cost. So, you know, we'd be looking at twice the cost if it was
For the same,
epoxy.
for the same.
But
Yeah.
epoxy would last 2, maybe 3 years.
yeah, however, depending on where you do it, if you're gonna seal over it like a micro paving, you have to remove them before you do that, or else it's not gonna adhere as well as through like the regular paint.
Correct.
So we
So it
couldn't
adds
necessarily do it on
additional-
all the side streets where we like to do that treatment,
Yes.
so there's trade-offs.
There's pros and cons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, with budgetary considerations, I mean, I think I'm comfortable with the 16,000 amount, I don't know, what do you think, Scott?
I'll still advocate for River Street, but it's whatever you guys want, like they had River Street in there, but
What do you think?
And you know, the other thing I wanna mention is, we listed here like our main thoroughfares.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Center Street could arguably be a thoroughfare, but it's never been painted, the center line has never been painted, right, Greg?
It's been a long time since it was, and it was only that stretch by West Street, I think.
Yeah.
See, I don't even
Well,
remember.
might have gone past my house. First
But
one.
like,
Okay, interesting.
If you-
I haven't seen anybody from the housing commission. Public Arts is meeting, but they're in the mayor's conference room.
if you think about it, we have heavy traffic on West Street for the colleges.
Yeah,
We have heavy traffic on East Street for the colleges and the high school. River Street is a main thoroughfare in and out of the west end of the city. Obviously, we have to do Chestnut Street and Main Street and Market Street now. Newa Park, we threw that on there. I don't know if we need to do it, it's had in the past. I feel like it's not necessary, in my opinion, but we threw it on there because it'd been done before.
okay.
Yeah, that's one, and just my opinion, if we were to do something different, it would be maybe putting white lines on your side to paint sidewalks or shoulders as
Yes.
opposed,
Yeah.
I mean, it's wide enough, there's no parking, well, there sort of is, but
Yeah.
Yeah, folks have indicated interest in, you know, designated walking areas, sidewalks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, what if we just added River Street into that mix? Would you be more comfortable with that?
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so how about we do that?
And
just
like, you
River.
mean taking out,
I'm saying
taking
the
out-
16,000 amount and just add River Street.
so
I'd
will
be
we,
happy with
will
that.
we
So
add
18?
the WL, the white line? I mean, I know people complain about speeding there, and there's, as you've heard me say many times, other than physical changes, you're not gonna change how people drive, so we could try that level of a physical change, and maybe more people park in the street, maybe it makes a difference. A little bit more cost, though, you gotta add another line.
And we gotta change signage and
the-
282.
and the signage, it would take a little while to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand it's gonna take a while to get there.
And if we did that, which side do you want parking on? Bella Michael's side, since that's where the people typically park in front of, or?
Bella Michaels has no
Well,
the-
we'll still have to have no parking here at corner signs at the intersections for sight distance. I guess we have to evaluate where are there more intersections, what side of the road has more intersections?
Good question.
We can come back and obviously propose 282 changes at some point.
Main thing is I have direction for what to put in the bid.
I think-
Yes,
Like, we
I
can
think
still
that's,
talk about
yep.
what side.
But it,
Yeah,
Yep,
because I'm thinking
if we
going
do that then.
into the city is where you're gonna want the parking on that right side. As you come down,
So the south side of River Street,
yes.
I would
Yes.
agree.
That's the feel I have too, south side, 88 side,
Yes.
yeah.
And keeping a stretch of no parking in front, even on that side, in front of the Boys and Girls Club, because you don't want to encourage people dropping kids off who cross the middle of the street.
right.
So I think this is probably the thought process.
Do people do that? I mean, do
No,
people drop off?
it's
You
no
mean-
parking there now. It used to
There's lots
be
of parking.
parking when I was a kid there, but I think it says no parking or standing or stopping or anything now.
So,
They do it.
I
hold
don't
on,
know.
They
I
do
might
it
be
anyway.
confused. The south side is the Bell Michael side, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a long day.
You don't have to make a decision now, think about it,
Yeah.
or next,
Yeah, I just think the south side should be the side with the parking, and then the north side doesn't have the parking.
Yeah, it sounds like that's right.
you know,
And then I understand, like, where the apartment complex is, you can't have parking there because it's one big driveway.
I'm basically looking at the same quantity either side, what
Yeah.
side it goes on, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We have direction then? Any
So-
other decision needed then? Alright.
So, I'm good.
Okay, the next thing that we had on our agenda was about the city building naming uniformity. This is something that came out of our council meetings. We were talking about, the naming of the bus, or the transportation, building. And
Oh,
part
yeah.
of it had been to put the name on the side of the building, and then we started talking about how do we name the buildings, and how do we recognize that, and then, before we, put that in the motion, we wanted to, make sure to talk about the uniformity, for all of our buildings.
Kinda like we did with the street signs.
Mhm.
You got a good memory.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that's what we have. I don't know how much thoughts we have on that. We have one more topic to get through as well. So do we have any ideas about this that we wanna just start off with, and we can, come back to this again as well?
Do we have any, are any of our stuff uniformed at all yet?
I mean, uniform, named.
No, I mean like, I'm just going like with the signage first, like are our signs X amount, is it white, is it whatever? Is that what you're looking for? Do you wanna have a thing like we did with the streets where we came up with, if it's gonna be named, this is a criteria you gotta meet, like living, I think it was the signage, you can't be a living person to have the name put on the sign, it's a memorial of. Is that kind of what you're looking for on this?
Well, I think it really came out of council. I think, so maybe what we should do is look at that, and then
Okay.
it would be really helpful to have a list of what buildings already have names,
Mhm.
Oh, the naming criteria.
Yeah.
I think this is
Well-
related to the new transit hub.
Yes.
Because people had an issue that there was a name for the old location, and then what didn't carry over to the new location.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly where it came out.
I think that's where that came
Because,
from.
because we, when we were talking about that, part of that motion had specifically been about putting the name on the side of the building, and that's where we had teased, we took that part out of the motion so that we could have this discussion. But I would like to, I'm thinking maybe what would be a good idea is for us to look at that street name, because I know what you're talking about, and then maybe if we get like a list of, what buildings currently have names, so that we can get a handle on, what we're looking at, and then maybe we can discuss it more next time.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think there should be an established criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we vote as a council based on that criteria.
Yeah, Cause I think, then we do with the street, I think they could,
Probably.
Okay.
yeah.
And so can somebody put together the list of building names for us, I guess?
Oh, yeah.
There's only 3?
I was gonna say, it's not huge number, I
Asa
know, but
Allison,
it
yeah,
would be
Asa
good to
Allison
just-
building.
St. Allison Building, the
Slash
Armory.
Armory.
I know, and, well, this is
Brenner
another.
Building slash,
Skate house.
McCarris.
Yeah.
Lascara's room in the Brenner Building.
Right. And,
Roger G. Hughes Water Treatment Plant,
yes.
mayor, and John Insett Transportation
Alright,
Center with no
yep.
name on the outside, but the plaque is in the
So and
lobby.
I think this is
It
part of the
is?
comments.
The plaque that was up at the other
Is-
came down and is in the lobby.
Yeah.
I saw it
Oh.
yesterday.
Yeah.
So-
And I think part of the conversation around
Just
this
directing.
also came up with, you know, we have these buildings, and then we have the name for the building, what do we actually call the building, right? You know, cause we have the Armory, which is the Asa Allison building, but everybody calls it the Armory. Yeah, so that's less about the uniformity, but just, you know, another piece of that conversation. Okay, so we should bring this back up next time, right? Was there anything else to talk about with that? And then the one that was added most recently, the Greenway Trail cross-country ski usage and volunteer maintenance. And it sounded like this was really a matter of working with a volunteer who
I
wants
just
to.
want approval because
Yeah.
currently we have a no motor vehicle policy on city property. That's watershed property, parks. And this person approached me asking, or approached our parks email, asking if he could have permission to run a snowmobile around to flatten the snow because it was really deep. My initial response to him was no, we do not allow motorized vehicles on city property. But then we had a discussion amongst ourselves, myself, Craig, Dave Merzig, and, we get him to sign a volunteer waiver. Get him to sign a volunteer waiver, I think we're willing to allow it. Greg reached out to the, Susquehanna Greenway, group, Donna Vogler, and she's touched base with her people, they thought it was a good idea. So we're just bringing it back to common council to get permission to allow it, I suppose. Greg?
Yeah, I don't think it's something that necessarily has to have a council motion to approve or that sort of thing, but we wanted your feedback at a minimum. Is this something we wanna allow? Like, we have volunteer waivers that I think would apply in this case, like when we have someone come and volunteer in the park, we could have a similar thing here for a specific named individual who's gonna run his snowmobile around there once or twice and that's it, and it's not a recreational
Yeah.
use, but, we didn't wanna do that and potentially open a can of worms.
Volunteers tribute.
And so I'm you know, it's really great to hear from folks stepping up to want to take care of, you know, these city properties. And I can understand why we have, you know, a policy that doesn't generally allow motorized vehicles on these lands. So would there be any concerns about any, I don't know, disruption or, you know, any issues with allowing it? It sounds like on a very limited basis, but, you know, we should be aware.
Obviously, there is a risk of, you know, there's a liability risk,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah,
waiver
yeah.
kinda covers that, right? So,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we have, similar, not similar, but same, allowing someone to use a chainsaw to cut up some wood and move it off of trails and city-owned property. We've done something like that before, but, we have to have them sign a waiver, and that's
Yeah.
really it.
Okay. And the Greenway, you know, project, I mean, I'm glad to hear that they were consulted, you know, and that they are on board with this. Cause I know, you know, really utilizing, you know, these outdoor spaces, you know, is a great idea. Other thoughts?
How do you sign up to volunteer?
This is not a time for public comment, thank you.
We have
we have
someone
someone
already,
doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I guess my question was really around liability issues, but it sounds like that's been spoken to, so, I think it's great if there's somebody
Yeah.
there who's willing to, you know, clear this and make it available, accessible. It's a good thing. Sounds great.
Okay with me?
Good,
Mhm.
okay, cool. Alright. quickly. Okay, yeah, so we'll get to that next then. But I wanted to check in because I saw there was a recent email about our snow removal and Deach Street and the parking and everything there. So I just wanted to check in on that because I know that this committee has, paid a lot of attention over the past year, especially to, the management of the Deach Street parking lot. And I saw that there was, some snow removal that had been, the parking lot had been marked, right, for snow removal, and cars were told to be removed from there. And then we still had quite a few who remained parking and were ticketed and towed, I believe. And it sounded like there was some feedback about that, so I just wanted to touch base about that.
So we issued a public service announcement the day before the closing.
Mm-hmm.
The parking lot was posted, no parking with specific day and times.
Okay.
I believe around between 10 and 12 that day, the day before,
All right.
and it started at midnight.
Okay.
We actually didn't get in there, I don't believe, until like 2 a.m. because we were doing other things. But the police department was contacted, that we had cars parked there. I was on the phone with the street supervisor. He had flagged down the police department to help us start towing and ticketing vehicles. And again, that was like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
And I believe there were 13 or 15 vehicles ticketed
Yeah.
and towed.
Okay.
Greg and I had talked about it. The one thing I would change, the guys had used, so we have our own sign machine, so they made a specific sign for this, like a 24 by 24 or 30 by 30
Yeah.
sign, but they use a white backing. I've asked them from now on to use orange backing
Okay.
for that kind of thing, so it pops.
Okay.
And then we talked about maybe just posting some more temporary no parking signs along parking spots, intermittently. But the other thing I want to mention is we do have a policy in place,
Mm-hmm.
which we haven't put up signage yet. We haven't been implementing it because we were waiting for the transit hub to open, where we were going to close certain parking lots Wednesday
Right.
nights. I don't have them memorized, but
We had a rotating schedule. I
on a
remember.
rotating schedule, so that policy will be implemented here soon, once we get signage up. We'll do a PSA notifying everyone that that's being implemented, but the council had approved it, I believe,
Mhm.
Greg?
Yes.
Did they
Yep.
approve the signage?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
But outside of that normal rotation and closing, when we have a snowstorm, we wanna clean something up, we'll use some
Yeah.
different signage.
Okay, well, I appreciate seeing that there was attention being given to that lot, because I know that that has, been a high area of concern for residents, who want to make sure that that is cleaned properly. And I know that, getting the vehicles out of there, is the only way that, it can be fully, plowed. So that's, thank you for explaining the process, because I know that getting that notification, it sounds like plenty of notice was given, given the constraints of how long folks are allowed to park in that lot already. And I think I remember seeing that folks have been encouraged to, sign up for Nixle as well. I think that's always, a helpful reminder. I'm still always finding people who don't know what Nixle is, so, we can continue to encourage folks to sign up for that, because those are very helpful to get those notices. But I did, because I don't know if you know off the top of your head how many, spots are there, but I did notice that, the number that was ticketed and towed was probably higher than normal, was my guess.
We seem to have an issue with the Deach Street parking lot, getting cars out of there.
Okay,
I think there are cars that park there a lot longer than 24 hours,
all right.
and maybe so, they are unattended for like weeks or maybe months at a time. Because we had issues when we did the paving project this past summer, and then we had issues when we came back to do the painting of the lines in the parking lot, in the Deach parking lot. So we towed vehicles back then too. I
Okay.
think we towed 8 or 10
Okay.
when we did the micro paving. And people were up in arms. So, we did the whole PSA, we had signage, people drove around our signage at the entrances and parked
Okay.
anyway.
Yep.
it's just, yeah, it's a very difficult thing to keep cars
To keep cars away from the
away
parking?
from, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that might be eventually something to, to talk about with parking enforcement then, but it sounds like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I wanted to suggest and throw out there, I haven't talked to Greg about this yet, but,
Here we go.
Sorry, boss.
should we maybe consider maybe our parking enforcement person maybe coming in outside normal hours when we're doing things at night? Maybe just for the first couple hours, midnight to 2 to get cars ticketed and towed, because sometimes the police aren't available. It's really hard to get a hold of police after midnight because the whole dispatch is closed and it goes to the county, and it's tough to get a hold of people. And unless they're driving down the road, we can flag them down. I was like, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a police officer, and let's flag them down. So, I don't know if that's a possibility or not, but,
Yeah, we could talk to them about it.
yeah.
I mean, it's not very often that we have to clear the whole lot, other than for snow removal and pavement maintenance or sweeping.
Right.
You know. Another thing that would help would eventually, if we implement parking permits for residents that live downtown,
Yes.
we would have their
That's right.
information,
That's
they would be
right.
required to submit an email or a phone number or sign up for a Nixle list or whatever it
Good
is, and
point.
that would be the way we would notify them, and that way they would absolutely be notified, and if they weren't, it would be their own fault for
Yep.
not providing the right number or something. So that would alleviate a lot of issues, but
That's a good point, thank you.
that wouldn't alleviate issues for people that didn't buy a parking permit.
Right, but still, it would be a solution for some.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Okay.
helpful.
Just a follow-up question.
Mhm.
So at night, how does one get a hold of the police department without having to go through county if you're a city employee? Like, is there like a phone that one of the officers?
There's a
carry
sergeant's
with
cell
them?
phone, and I tried calling it multiple times, and it went to voicemail every time.
Mhm.
I think that there's a problem. I think we should have some way
Direct
to
line.
get a hold
Yeah.
of whoever the officer in charge are, whether it's the sergeant or the senior officer on, that
I was given
picks up
that
that
number,
phone.
being
Yeah.
told I would be able to get a hold of someone,
And
not the case.
we're talking about emergency planning and
Well,
communication,
that
but,
was
yeah.
gonna be the point that I was gonna.
Oh, okay, do you
Oh,
wanna?
that was a good segue.
I was gonna say, is there more to
Thank
that, or
you.
do you wanna just
No,
bring up
I
a
just,
point
I
now?
just
Yeah,
wanted
go for it.
to, maybe follow up a bit, or, whatever, piggyback, I don't know, but what I wanted to address in this committee is the kind of thinking long-term about emergency planning, long-term, but also in this kind of short, long-term, thinking just in the next few months, about getting some planning down in terms of what council are responsible for, who do we contact, just a lay of the land. And just going over the strategic plan for the city that we've worked on. Emergency planning is very much part of the overall kind of health and well-being of our community. And so I just think as a committee, I think it should be a priority
Yeah.
moving forward. To start thinking about really making something public and that we've agreed on as a council. Again, an overview of who does what, when, where.
Mhm.
Could we maybe, just thrown out there, start at, we just moved council meetings to 5:30, but maybe take first 45 minutes of a council meeting and get a quick overview from, it could be over the next several council meetings, like 40, from each, like the fire chief, the police chief, or whatever, and say, here's the overview of,
Well, I
here's
wonder-
your role, here's,
Yeah.
or whatever, here's a quick overview of what we're looking at for you, or whatever, however you wanna do it.
I think, what I was thinking of, that could be very useful to have a conversation, absolutely, with public safety heads. But what I'm thinking even more, concretely is creating an actual emergency plan that we can codify, that we can make available online for the public and for us to see, so that, if there's questions about, well, what happens in a weather-related emergency, like the one that we had, where are we going, what are we doing? So for example, I sent an email about the Ithaca, City of Ithaca's emergency planning, which I think I found very useful because it's codified, it's up, it's online, it's accessible. It itself very clear that this is a document that's gonna be amendable, so it can change, it can, you know, evolve as needs emerge. But I just think we should have something similar.
But didn't we hire somebody in the fire department to do this? To do the emergency plan? Because we didn't wanna hire a company outside? I don't remember if that was this council or the past council, but
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that individual has worked. I'd have to check with Brian, ask for him for an update, like you said, if it's at council or here. Where is that at? I know that Brian, Chief Knapp, had shared with me a proposal from a company to update our plan. I think it was just about $20,000. That was something I wanted to talk with the mayor about, to see well, how might we, where would he see this conversation going? Maybe it comes to click. It's not something that's budgeted, but he gave me that this winter. So we
I'm-
could see. Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm not sure where it needs to go. That conversation come here. Or,
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is that taking your idea of having public safety heads come in and discuss their role and so forth could be useful here in Click. And then if we create some kind of document, we can take it to legislative and then to council. That's how I was kind of seeing the trajectory.
because we have an emergency plan, right, Greg? I swear I saw this thing, unless I'm getting
Yeah.
a couple things mixed up.
we have what's called the comprehensive emergency plan, which is the basic framework for how emergency operations happen. Although it's dated, and that's the thing that we would like to update first. But
Right.
the real meat of it, I think, is the appendices that are specific. What do you do in a cold weather emergency? What do you do in a dam break? I mean, we have
Water main breaks.
water main breaks,
Yeah.
like certain things that we have plans for,
I mean,
certain things we don't.
We know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I think it'd be fantastic to have it written down.
Yes.
Yeah.
We know what to do, but you guys don't know what we know what to do.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that's what ended up happening. Like,
Exactly.
people were asking us questions,
Yeah.
and everybody's very busy, of course, because it was a weekend, there's an emergency, you know?
Yeah.
And so it would be very helpful to us to reassure the public that yes, there are plans, and yes, we do know them.
And,
So-
and furthermore, you know, reassuring, but also to enact anything that we need to do. Are we only responsible for example, with this last storm,
Yeah.
for putting up something on Facebook from this, you know, city government saying, here's what you need to do? Or is there something more that we need to let the, you know, constituents know, our residents know? I think there should be more that we tell people, rather than just kind of, you know, cut and pasting what, you know, comes from City Hall. Like, for example, I think we should talk about a neighbor-to-neighbor policy, that we should encourage people to go and check on the elderly in their neighborhood, the, you know, potential infirm, the sick, the, you know, any vulnerable populations
Yeah.
that are around them as a potential plan. That could be something that we're the point people on.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to do that individually. So that's just an example.
Yeah, because you really need a uniform message, because
Exactly.
you say something, I say
Exactly.
something, you say this, it gets so,
Diffused
Yeah.
and confusing for
and you want
know.
that uniformed.
Yes. Here's what we do in an emergency. A, B, and C.
So we have a comprehensive emergency plan. Is that something maybe that we should review at our next meeting?
Well, that's the thing we know that's outdated.
Yeah. So is it
It's
not?
not gonna be super valuable to review.
Okay,
That
okay,
needs to be
got it.
updated. That's where I have a proposal
Yeah.
the chief got from a company, I forget the name of it, for just under $20,000 to help update that. And I can ask him to kind of give a report if Dave Lincoln is still able to do anything with us, or you know, if that's an option, or if this is the only option. I think, you know, one of the real big issues here is we don't have anyone that's full-time or spending much
Right.
time at all dedicated to these plans
Correct.
and training and coordinating all of that. So it, like someone alluded to, it makes it difficult to write all these things down and communicate them really well.
Absolutely.
It's kind of fragmented.
Yeah. And I think as a result, your email, which was incredibly,
Yes.
in response to my email, was incredibly helpful. And like what I got, the gist of, you know, the messaging was around, you know, in lieu of emergency planning on the city level, a lot of it gets kicked up to the county.
Yeah.
But even that, I think, should be
Yeah,
communicated.
even just knowing
Right.
what, which, how much goes up to the county and
Right.
how much we need to, be responsible for would be helpful.
So yeah, so I got the sense that the sort of overall emphasis of the email was that we don't have a lot of resources here, and therefore the county is then sort of the entity that the public needs to deal with and ask questions of. Even if that's the case, even if my reading is right on that, which I assume it probably is somewhat accurate, then that should be, codified.
Yeah.
That's my
And one thing you guys may not realize is before the major storm, we all have department heads get together and have a meeting about how we're dealing with storms.
Yeah,
and
see,
that's-
that's the thing, we had
That's
no
wonderful
idea.
information.
And the public is telling us that the city
Both
doesn't.
chiefs, it's Carrie,
Yeah.
it's OPT, because
Okay.
we have bus routes, it's all, both my street supervisor, my facility maintenance supervisor. And we all get together and we talk about how we're gonna handle the storm, what the anticipated arrival of the storm is, when we're gonna call people
Okay.
in, who's
Awesome.
gonna call people in. Sometimes it might be OPT calling our people in, because they're the ones driving, they're the ones that hit the hillsides first, and if the buses can't get up the hill, they'll call our people in, the police recognize it, the police will call our people in. And then once our people are called in, I'm in constant contact with the street supervisor, facility maintenance supervisor to find out what the conditions are, how much snow have we got,
Yeah.
how much is falling, do we have any vehicle issues? Because vehicles break down during snow events, and then we gotta call Central Garage in to come repair vehicles that are broke down.
Yeah. So in lieu of
That's
having
very
a plan that's really like updated, I think it would be really helpful to just get some kind of overview about what is in place for, council. I would say for all of council, so that we all know, things like how, what is already being done. So, just to raise our awareness level, because I would like to know that. And I think, I think that might be a good first step maybe, but I think more long-term, we have other plans. It sounds like they really need to be updated and looked at and, the
But-
broader.
If I may, Chris, even just putting that down,
Mhm.
saying, that department heads meet, will convene prior to an emergency, a weather-related emergency anticipated event, and will then decide the following. And then so even just that alone,
Yeah.
I think, is a step,
Even if
towards
it's not a,
greater transparency and clarity. So that's very helpful.
yeah, even if it's not like an actual, policy, like something that we're gonna solidify, if it's just, a description, a report about like how they're handled, I think that would be really helpful to us, in interacting with the public and assuring them that yes, the city does have emergency plans and here's how they
We're
get
in,
handled.
we're in constant contact on
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
We even talk about when should Carrie issue the PSA
Yeah.
for when the parking lot restrictions are lifted. We, talk about when the police gonna start doing ticketing.
Mhm.
We talk about all of it, and it's all the big storms. I would say storms 6 inches and greater. The small ones,
Yeah.
it's
Right,
just, it's
right.
just regular operation.
and I get it, there's so much work that's going on that it's hard for us to know the scope of all of that, but we definitely wanna reassure the public that, this work is being done.
And then after the storm, we
Yeah.
plan for night shifts and how we're gonna clear snow off Main Street,
Yes.
out of our parking lots, out of all the city facilities.
I have to say, I've been telling people I'm very impressed with the snow response and the planned, the notices that we're getting, and how it's being cleaned up, over time, so,
You should
yeah.
take a look at the snow pile in Cattell Park.
Oh, I will.
Oh, I know somebody wants to ride a sled down that.
I was talking to somebody in the city yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, melting snow," and I was like, "What? No, you just haul it out, and pile it up."
It's not me, I don't.
Does anything
Right.
go ever into the river? Like, do you ever haul it into the river?
That's
No.
not allowed.
It's not allowed.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's why they put it
Oh, because then it has to,
Yeah.
okay, filter.
Speaking of river,
Yeah.
is there any, how do we make out with the ice?
Oh, the ice jam.
Hasn't melted yet. I think that's when there could potentially be a problem, but I haven't heard any update.
Gene and I went down and took a look at it today. It appears that there is a stream on the one side, I would say it's on the, north side of the creek, open, but there is a lot of ice
Mhm.
sitting on the bank on the south side of the stream. DOT has not delivered their long arm excavator yet. I was thinking about following up with, the resident engineer, Eric Burton, on that to see what the status was. But they were working on it the last time, before I went on vacation, they were working on securing a whole long arm excavator.
Okay. All right, interesting. Well, thank you for that update. And then just before we close out, like with the emergency planning, I just wanna make sure that we have some kind of follow-up, direction with that. I think it would be helpful to maybe have something at a council meeting, like some kind of report back or, something written. What do folks feel like would be most helpful?
Uh,
You know?